And a pleasure as always to welcome you to VLGA Connect and to welcome Kathryn Arndt to the newsroom. Hi, Kathryn.
Hi, Chris. How are you today?
I'm going very well, thank you. What about you?
Yeah, not too bad at all. The sun is shining. It's a lovely day out there, and hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to get a little bit of sunshine despite our current lockdown situations.
And some exercise, one would hope, as much as one can. And we are recording this on the very last day of winter, which is nice in itself.
Well, of course we are. I didn't even think of that point so well. And we've actually got a few warm days coming up. So enjoy it while we can, I say.
Absolutely. Agree with you. Now, there's lots happening around the sector at the moment. So let's touch on some of the biggest news stories. The Minister for Local Government, Sean Lean, has fired the starters gun, if you like, on the review of the culture of the sector in Victoria, and announced he'll be running that review. And you, as I'm sure, are like everyone else in welcoming that development.
Oh, indeed. The VLGA did put out a media statement following the release of or the announcement of the Cultural Review Program, commending its scope and also, I guess, reinforcing our interest as the peak body supporting good governance in the sector, of being an active participant in that review. I've spoken to the Minister in some detail about, I guess, his thoughts about the need for a review, and we really do welcome it being formally, I guess, launched, and also the announcement of the academics and the key, I guess, the lead organisation who will be conducting that. So very keen, as is the Minister, to have PwC and also the academics Graham Sansom and Professor Anona Armstrong on our VLGA Connect program to talk to the sector about what they'll be looking at, how they'll be, I guess, undertaking this review, and providing an opportunity for some, I guess, some input directly from the sector, which we can do. So let's see where we go.
That would be good to have that conversation and to understand, as you say, how they're gathering the information, because my understanding is they're going to develop a discussion paper with a view to putting that out for some further consultation or discussion with the sector in the early part of next year. So the work that's done between now and then to form that discussion paper is a really important piece of the process.
Look, it is, and we've got the perfect platform here, and I guess we'll need to get on to organising that so we can get them in front of the sector sooner rather than later.
Excellent, and we'll keep people posted as we learn more as that review progresses. A couple of other things that are bubbling away in terms of legislative change, I guess. There's some proposed reforms to the planning system that we believe that the Minister, Richard Wynne, might be getting ready to announce very soon. I'm sensing, Kathryn, as I think you are, a little bit of disquiet because it's not 100% clear to councils what, if any, changes are going to be brought on their role as a result of these reforms.
Look, understandably, there's a little bit of anxiety there amongst the elected representatives in particular about what these proposed reforms might entail. They're all related. There's a number of different planning reforms that link into the social and affordable housing initiative, also the Big Build strategy, I think it's called. Correct me if I've got that incorrect.
Yep, the Big Build, yep.
Big
housing build, I think.
Yes, that's right. So there's a number of different elements to all of those reforms. Of course, we've also had a very the government's had to hit pause on the legislative agenda in the midst of dealing with the acute, almost becoming chronic COVID situation. So there is now some catch-up. That's my sense anyway, some catch-up happening by the bureaucracy in terms of actually drafting and implementing these legislative reforms. So I think the sector needs to be a little bit patient with that and really embrace the opportunity to engage with the state government. And from the state government's perspective, of course, we do remind the state government that there is a Victorian state local government agreement, which was developed in 2014, specifically for the purpose of ensuring that any policy or legislative reform that might have an impact on the local government sector was, I guess, addressed with a lot of consultation with the sector before it was actually implemented. So we remind the government about that and also encourage the sector to be a little bit patient as we work with the government to progress some of these reforms, but also understand what they are. I think we have to be cautious about making assumptions, you know, and particularly while things are, you know, cabinet in confidence and not at that stage where we can get all of the detail.
That's a very good point. That's I'm glad you made that. I was going to say something similar about let's make sure we understand what's happening here before we get too far down the track. But I guess some people are just concerned that it will get too far down the track without that understanding being there ahead of time.
Yeah, look, and I think the sector should feel reassured that the VLGA and I'm sure the MAV and LG Pro are also engaging with the state government to ensure that we don't get to that stage where things are too far down the track, so that there is insufficient time to consult adequately with the local government sector.
There's a similar one playing out, Kathryn, with the decriminalisation of sex work, which you know, I don't want to put too fine a point on this, but basically it means that sex work would become like any other home-based business or any other business that has a right to exist and operate, but it also means that it'll come under council's purview in terms of regulation and enforcement in some circumstances.
That's our understanding also, Chris. We were invited to participate in some consultations with the state government last week, I think it was, and as were a number of mayors and also CEOs. We're still seeking some clarity, of course, as to exactly how the decriminalisation of sex work will fit into the current planning scheme. From my understanding, the state government's at the sort of the very early stages of drafting the legislation that would support the decriminalisation model, but essentially it removes the licensing requirements that currently exist and place, as you say, you know, the operation of those businesses under the remit of local government and their planning responsibilities in particular. There was a call for submissions to an initial sort of discussion document that closed on Friday. The VLGA did make a submission to that, as did the MAV, I believe, both very similar in that we've asked the state government just to hit the pause button so that we can ensure that there's adequate consultation with the local government sector and in a more detailed way than we've had the opportunity so far to engage with before they progress any further.
Another one, I'm sure you'd say, where you'd like to see the Victorian state local government agreement being honoured. Absolutely.
As I said, that agreement, that Victorian state local government agreement, the objective of that is to ensure that any proposed policy or legislative reform that impacts the sector is accompanied by extensive consultation with the sector. And in particular, it mentions the three peaks, so the VLGA, the MAV and LG Pro as having a very active part to play in that with the state government.
We should say that this decriminalisation has come out of a very wide-ranging review that was led by Fiona Patton. I think it started in 2019, was delivered last year, and the overriding principle is that sex work should be decriminalised. The issue, though, is the detail of how that is going to work in practice going forward.
Indeed, and I think that's where the bureaucracy's at now. They've been tasked with, I guess, developing the how that will work, and we're at that point where we've got an opportunity to provide some input into that.
Kathryn, another one making news, unfortunately for the wrong reasons this week. And I sit on a few audit committees, and this is an issue that comes up a lot about how prepared are we as councils to withstand cyber attacks. And, you know, sadly, Stonington Council has apparently been victim to a cyber attack, and some of their systems are offline, and they're trying very hard to understand what data, if any, we should say, has been compromised. But it's a real reminder of the risk that's out there in the digital environment, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed it is. And, hopefully Stonington Council are now a little bit further progressed to be able to identify exactly what occurred and how did it happen. I believe it occurred on Friday, just passed, and it perhaps coincided with an update of some of their Microsoft systems in-house. But as you say, I mean, we ran a leading the agenda panel recently on the role of audit and risk committees, and cyber attacks and digital protection and data protection is right up there now.
It is, and look, I really feel for them. It was probably always going to happen to someone. It's unfortunate to see it happen to someone, and hopefully the damage is minimal, if any. We wish them the best in dealing with that.
We do, and it's just another thing to deal with, I guess, in the role of local government. In the midst of a pretty busy workload as it is.
Yeah, very, very true. So there's a bit of news happening. A news flash today. We've got news that Kel Torrey, the CEO at Melton City Council, has announced his retirement. He's going to be hanging up the boots at the end of October. Apparently he announced that to the council at their meeting this week, and all the staff have been advised. And, I had the pleasure of working with Kel for some time as a colleague CEO, and wish him all the very best in his retirement coming up.
Yes, the VLGA wishes Kelvin all the best also. I think he's had, over 30 years in the local government sector, so I'm sure he's looking forward to having a little rest now.
Nearly 20 years at Melton, which is a great track record as well.
There has been some turnover, though, hasn't there, with the CEOs, and here's another one.
Well, yes, as you know, I'm keeping a running tally on the Local Government News Roundup website, and I think there's 21 entries now on the list of councils that have had some, either a change or a renewal or retirements, etc., for this term of the council. So, less than 12 months in, and to be at 21, we're not far off a third. So looking like a similar level of turnover as we experienced in the last term.
And look, perhaps, the cultural review will pick up on some of this also once we get through it. I certainly have been in discussions with a number of CEOs and also a number of councillors who 12 months in almost into the first year of the new council term, and there is a little bit of organic and natural attrition happening, of course, amongst the CEOs. There's also, change of focus from the new councillor group in some ways also, and there's this tension of a group of newly elected councillors working out how they're going to work as a team, let alone with the CEO. And I'm not suggesting that's why there's the turnover happening, but there are a number of, I guess, different elements to this that are worth just, having a look at once we get to that cultural review stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good opportunity to look at that question as well. VLGA Connect, we're still bringing you lots of really interesting conversations, and I wanted to give a plug to one that will be debuting a little later this week, where I'll speak with Leanne Williams about the Miley 24/7 library concept, which is coming out of Gippsland. Just a great story, Kathryn. Looking forward to you being able to see that chat that I've recorded with Leanne.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I've had the pleasure of working with Leanne. We both sit on an advisory committee of the State Library, or Public Libraries Advisory Group, and from what I understand, it's pretty exciting, as you say, so looking forward to that. We also had the Shadow Minister for Local Government, David Morris, on the program last week, and I think we released that interview early this week. So if people haven't had an opportunity to catch up with that, they should do that. And we've got some live panels coming up. As I think we said in the last newsroom episode, it's that time of year again where mayoral elections will be coming up. So another opportunity, I think, to have councillors come into a live panel session and hear from some past mayors, current mayors, or whatever that panel will consist of what makes a good mayor and really what we should be looking for when we either nominate ourselves or the colleagues around us.
Good timing to have that conversation. How's the Fast Track Part 2 leadership program going in terms of bookings? Because I imagine it's challenging with people not really sure whether it's going to be online or whether it's going to be in person. It'll probably go ahead in some form, won't it?
Oh, it will go ahead in some form, Chris. Don't worry about that. We've got an excellent line of panellists confirmed. All panellists are confirmed. The program will be going out later today, all going well. So it will go ahead in some form. At this stage, we're hoping face-to-face at the RACV Club, as we did hold the event, that Fast Track Part 1 earlier in the year. The Minister will be opening the day with another Q&A with participants. Registrations are coming in, but I do get a sense that in the absence of some clarity from the Premier, which we were all hoping for today about what the extended lockdown might look like, I think people are just a little hesitant to commit to anything face-to-face, and we understand that. But fingers crossed it will go ahead face-to-face. If not, we'll have to do it in a virtual way.
All right, so check out the events page of the VLGA website, I should say, for more on that. Kathryn, that's been a big agenda to get through today. Thank you, as always, for your insights, and I hope you have a great week.
You too, Chris. Take care.
Kathryn Arndt, CEO of the VLGA, with us in the newsroom from VLGA Connect. Thanks for your company. See you again soon.